I was gonna say AMF.
What's that?
Adios, motherfucker. If you drink one, have fun for the rest of the night. A lot of people think that they're being authentic, even on Forecaster, but I don't think they are. And someone nominated Los Fomos. They have some really fun content. So actually, I do this thing where every day, like, I'll nominate a new Forecaster person to follow or a new channel that folks think are underrated and, should get more eyes on. And someone nominated Los Fomos and the both of you, and they just said they have some really fun content going around with builders in the ecosystem. So I saw a couple of the short videos that were in the channel, and I was like, yeah, this seems fun. They make drinks and they ask cool questions, and I like the fact that they were short snippets, which was really cool.
Yeah, it was Tim who nominated us.
Yes.
It was really nice of him. We had him on the show a few weeks ago, and that was a really cool recording. It was super hard to break it down into like 2 minutes because we had such a long chat with him. We love spicy stuff and we love mixing cocktails. So we bring that into the
Nice.
content. We actually have our own tutorials as well now.
I like spicy food, but not spicy drinks. I can't do spicy drinks.
Why? Did you try it?
I've tried some. I feel like I would prefer the sweeter side of things.
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe I haven't had the good spicy drink, so eventually I can get a Los Fomos spicy drink.
Yeah. Pablo, right? The one that we did together. This is my favorite one because it's kind of actually sweet as well. And what would you say, Paul? Is it like sweet as well? Because it has
Yeah,
strawberry or whatever. No, it's not strawberry.
it's like
whatever pure.
raspberry puree, and rum, and a bit of chili. Actually, before we jump into the questions, I would love to know how do you have partnerships and how do you handle that for terminally on chain?
So I wouldn't say I have like sponsorships or anything right now. I tried to avoid that for as long as I could, just trying to focus on like growth and things. But I do have my own hypersub, and whatever like revenue I try to do comes from there, and I'll do some partnerships through that. For the newsletter though, I just stick to writing right now.
Actually, today I wanted to decide how we're going to set up our own hypersub because
Oh, awesome.
we
Okay.
decided it's time. We're going to decide on like the tiers and stuff like that. But we find that it's hard to connect with people on a deeper level just through the channel because we want to build a community. We want to build this brand.
Do you have any
Yeah.
cool ideas for the hypersub? Are you gonna airdrop the episodes?
I think it's kind of like a default thing when it comes to like now when it seems like everyone is doing the airdrops of the episodes and making kind of sure that people are watching it. And if they subscribe, you kind of know that maybe they want to watch it. Like we're branding like Los Fomos as a place. So like who are you in the Los Fomos based on your interaction with it. So as a subscription, we kind of have like the idea of one type of status or role, and then around it, think about different perks that we can do. Um, Still experimenting, like stickers is one of the things because we have ideas of what to do with those stickers, how people
Hmm.
can be using it. But yeah, like we're kind of still. That's basically going to be today's discussion with Pao to decide like what exactly we want to do with that and
Got
what
it.
to do with the rest of the people who are just hanging out in the channel. What about
I feel
you?
like you have to give them drinks and you'll get a lot of
Yeah.
hypersubs. That should solve all the problems.
It's actually quite surprising how many people who similarly do not have problems with an alcohol, like, it's not like a pest, but still they say they do not drink. As soon as we say, like, what's your favorite drink, they say, I'm not drinking alcohol.
Really?
It's surprising.
What?
It's, I think especially from California, we had some chats, and the thing is, like, not all our drinks have to be alcoholic, of course, and we don't drink cocktails every day. That's not how we handle things. It's just something to enjoy. It's like baking or cooking.
Yeah.
You're preparing a nice drink. There's work that goes into it, and it's not really like drinking it for the alcohol. It's for the taste and the experience of it. When we talk with someone from the East Coast, from the West Coast, it was often like, oh well, I don't actually drink. Like, I kind of stopped drinking because I don't like to get drunk and stuff like that. And we were like, oh, but you don't get drunk from a nicely
Like
mixed
one
cocktail.
drink. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, usually. Depends on what you put inside.
Yeah.
But that's why also for like cultural differences, we want to do like the virgin version of each cocktail.
Yeah, the California people are on the Huberman health grind and all that. I'm based out of New York, so totally opposite culture in that sense. Maybe more similar to Paris.
Yeah, I think so. Like the going out culture, like being outside, sitting on the streets
Nice
and stuff like
dinner
that.
with a nice wine and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I actually went to Paris for the first time this past March, and I loved it. Like it's like I was up to like 4 espressos a day. I was just the sitting outside in the patio and just enjoying that. It's a vibe for sure.
I love that about Paris. It's really like, and me as a person who like used to love like getting coffee to go, I think since I moved to Paris, I really haven't had any. Like I just have a coffee either sitting down and drinking it while you're there or
Yeah.
no coffee at all. It's so different. I used to live in New York while I was studying for like 6 months,
Hmm.
and I remember coffee. I mean, that was a difference. Like I was getting coffee sometimes to go.
It's
It
very
was
much
a
an
quite,
indicator of a difference of the lifestyles. In New York,
yeah.
and
Oh
you
yeah.
probably go
I
somewhere,
mean,
you are rushing somewhere, and you are like having coffee.
it's like you're 10 minutes late. You're like yelling at the barista, and in Paris, it's like I have like a whole hour to sit. I almost felt
Everyone can wait.
like when I was in Paris, I almost felt guilty for sitting at the cafe for too long because I was like, what am I doing? Like I need to be up and out. But
No, you can stay there for hours.
yeah,
One thing I haven't figured out yet is whether they actually accept people with laptops in the cafes, because I know there are some that don't mind it, but it's really way more common in New York or, well, anywhere
hmm
else, to be honest. Usually in Paris, it's like the other way around. It's like the waiters yelling at you. What's your favorite on-chain summer drink?
non-alcoholic. I would say I recently got into Ollipops for no reason. I think the bodega nearby started selling the Ollipops. Yeah, so I've been drinking a bunch of those. I feel like Diet Coke is a basic answer, so I won't say that one. That's like a go-to. And then for this past summer, Moscow Mules, I've been drinking a lot more. I have no idea why, but they've made a resurgence back in my life.
What about your show for this summer? What are you watching?
You're gonna think I'm crazy, but I'm watching Game of Thrones for the first time. So that's basically been the only thing on my mind the past month. I have been getting through the show so fast that at this point I just want to knock it out by the end of the week.
Well, would you suggest to watch it because I didn't watch it, and I think Paul
Oh,
didn't
you
watch it.
haven't seen?
No.
Really? Okay, okay. So everyone I've told that I'm watching Game of Thrones, they're like, you're like 4 years late. But I would
Like,
highly recommend it. Like after you get over the first 2 episodes, like you're totally hooked.
dangerous, dangerous.
Yeah.
I'm always like, I'm between this. I don't want to start a series and get like invested in it. And then, because I know that I will then want to watch so much more. Do I want to make that commitment? It's almost
I
like getting into a new relationship. It's like you really like,
yeah. I normally try not to find a show that I'll like binge and stuff, but this one I accidentally just fell into it, and
have
it's been my
you
entirety
stumbled?
of the last 3 weeks.
And how do you touch the grass?
Normally, I'd say I just would go to the park, like try running in Central Park, or even just walking around that day. Uh, and then the West Side Highway, I feel like sunset time. That's my go-to evening walk. I love that.
Yes, it's a follow-up question, but what is maybe your favorite square in New York?
Washington Square Park. It's really funny. It's like a simulation, especially in the summertime. Every single type of person in this world is like just constrained in this little park, and you can people watch for like hours there.
What does like being too on chain look like for you? Or can you be too on chain?
I think so. Like I'd say the analogy is like if you go on your Twitter feed and you just like every single tweet, right? Then what's like the purpose of liking even? So it's like similar if you just like start minting every single thing without even understanding what the mint is or who the creator behind it is. In my opinion, that would be crossing the border of like being too extra on chain.
And what does on-chain summer means to you?
I would say on chain summer is like finding more creative ways to think about what it means to do stuff like minting or different on chain actions. A lot of times we think about like the same one or two things like here's a Zora link, go ahead and mint it, something like that. But what if you can think of more creative ways to approach the whole point of being on chain?
What is the tech stack that you're using?
Farcaster for all social purposes. I basically stopped using Twitter a while ago. Base for all of my mints, Zora for actually distributing the mints, Paragraph for my newsletter, hypersub for the paid community, Once Upon to track all my wallets, and I have a Dune dashboard for the community.
How are you using Dune Dash?
I have a list of all the wallets that are subscribed to my hypersub, and I basically made a Dune dashboard to check the health of how on-chain the community was. So I'll see how often they're trading tokens, like what their NFT activity looks like, have they made any contracts, pretty much anything you could think of like with wallet activity. And that gives me insight as to where these folks are even active. So if I see a lot of people are using Aerodome, right, versus Uniswap, then that's an interesting insight just for my purposes.
By the end of on-chain summer, what do you want to have achieved with terminally on-chain?
That's a good question, which I probably need to figure out. I think just more clarity on, for context, I'm working on a product on the side as well for terminally on-chain, but like having more clarity as to whether I want to continue with that or what does like the new version of it look like. Right now it's in a bit of a limbo state where I'm not sure how I feel about it. So yeah, just a more direction there.
And what is your unpopular opinion?
The spicy one.
Ooh. Sometimes living in the forecaster bubble, you feel like you start having the same thoughts as everyone. Honestly, that itself might be the unpopular opinion. For the most part, it does feel like a hive mind, right? Every now and then you get some outliers, but they're not loud enough to actually make a difference in that sense. If you can agree with 90% of the community on most things, right, then there's an issue there.
This is actually something that we also, while we were doing like a long form podcast and thing, like when you have guests, you just realize that you are talking about topics that obviously are very important for everyone in the space, for the guests, for you.
Yeah.
And you're kind of all the time on the note of, talking about things that you all agree and believe in. But then I think that's a problem a little bit because there is no critical opinion then, if you continue doing that. And we were even at some point thinking that maybe we just, even if we think the same way, just have to act, as when you just take another position, at least for the sake of maybe discussing some critical.
Right. That's maybe the unpopular belief could just be that a lot of people think that they're being authentic even on Forecaster, but I don't think they are. It actually becomes a lot easier to yes man things, and I'm guilty of this as well, because to actually be critical of people's opinions, you need to take the time and think and not be afraid of like confrontation as well, which I just don't think most people do, even if they think they do. That's what it is. I feel like people think that they're being original and like interesting and, countering other folks' arguments, but it's really like not the case, right?
I get a bit aggressive inside when I see hundreds of comments or of like people just like complimenting each other and no one's giving pushback. Not that even I have a pushback in the moment because I didn't think about it properly and I will not say something against it just to be against it. Also, I remember in Twitter Spaces back in the days, it was always like people complimenting each other for like at least 15 minutes when the space began. So it was always like, oh, so great to be here. Yeah, what you're doing is so great. Like, I love what you're building.
Right.
And we were just like, oh,
yeah, exactly. It takes a while to get to the spicy part, really, is what I'll say. And once you do, then people start getting scared. It's like, oh, like I don't want to ruin my, brand reputation of being this person. And I will give it to some folks on Forecaster. They genuinely don't care and are okay being even like with Dan, for example, the Merkle team, right? They will be a lot more straightforward. And even I don't think I have like ever thought about trying that, just because it does feel scary and it's tough to do.
When you want to succeed in a specific group of people try to be like them. You feel like, if you're going to be too confronting, then you might end up not getting into this group and not succeeding.
And
so, yeah.
I don't know if the both of you saw, but like the alt like random arrow, right? Like whoever's running that is able to actually just be a lot more transparent at a much quicker and faster rate, just because there's like nothing attached behind who he is, right? So and we see that on Twitter as well, so it's nothing crazy, but like it is those like random like alt accounts and the anon accounts that just come out of nowhere, and then they'll start exposing and saying what everyone else is thinking, but they can just do that because there's not much at stake, really.
Because me and Pao were not so big on Farcaster, and especially me, I have definitely way less. But because he was encountering with us, I kind of have a feeling that it's a person that we already know.
Yeah, I think so.
Because like, what is the chances that a random alt account is gonna find my account?
Yeah, exactly. I thought
There's a
that's
chance, yeah. You got to start DMing all your friends now.
nice.
Maybe Ran wants to be on.
Pao was actually trying to get
Yeah,
him on.
yeah, he slid into my DMs a while back, and then I used the chance to ask him to come on the show. And I was like, well, we've had a lot of anonymous people on the show, so that's not a problem. And David also said that apparently a lot of people want to have him on the show. I don't know how David knows that. Maybe because he talked with people who want to have him on the show, but see.
But what about the product that you're doing? What exactly is it? Is it like a platform terminally
So,
on chain?
for context, like I had started a newsletter last year, and I initially was just writing as much as I could, sharing what I was minting, all of those kinds of things. Then after that, I started the hypersub, which I was thinking more so as like a class pass or a Groupon for on-chain perks, and did that for a bit. And then I was like, okay, like I want to be able to create some sort of experience for the community that I had. So back in May and June, I created like a Be Real type game where every day it was like being on chain. I would send out a notification at the random time of day, and you had an hour to mint to keep your streak. And then by the end of the season, whoever had the longest streak would get the prize. And then I noticed that people were actually enjoying the curation of content and mint. So now I'm at a point where I'm trying to figure out, okay, what does the terminal, which I'm calling the app, what does that actually look like for like the longer term? I think the game was just like a week-long thing for fun, but what could be helpful for the community that I'm building, and you know, something that they'd want on their phones as well and would actually use. Yeah.
What exactly the way of minting? Like, was it like the content or something, or just like something as a representation of the streak?
Yeah, so for that game specifically, I partnered with like 7, 8 artists that are my friends. They're on Farcaster, and then I asked them what does it mean to be terminally on chain. So I gave all of them that prompt, and then for that season, each artist made their own piece, and then the day of the mint was one of the artists. But after that game ended, I sort of switched up the curation to being more Farcaster centric as well as mint. So every day I'll have like a Farcaster follow, which I was mentioning earlier, with like an underrated account or channel, or I'll share like 2 or 3 casts that, you know, they weren't in the trending section, but I think actually were pretty insightful. Maybe an article that I came across as well. And on each one, I'll add like a blurb, like, hey, here are my thoughts on this. Like, here's why you should care about like what I just curated. And then that's it, just daily 3 to 4 things. And it's basically, if you think of like Warpcast as your endless feed, I'm trying to make the terminal like your 1 minute TLDR. So if you're like on vacation, or if you just didn't have time to scroll a bunch today, you can feel like a bit of confidence that, hey, I went on the terminal, I checked in, and I got my, you know, at least the TLDR of what I needed to know. And I guess the second part of it is like when you check into the terminal, I'll like reward you some points for just being there daily. Like there's like a streak and everything. And those points then you can use to claim different perks with partnerships that I do in the ecosystem. So for example, like Woj, who's building Supercast, said he's willing to offer like 1 free month of Supercast for anyone who has like 200 TOC points. Same thing with like Proxy's newsletter, and I have a couple more coming soon. But that I think sort of builds this ecosystem of folks that really care about like Farcaster and base and all this area that we're all building in, and then also getting like the advantages of being active as well.
Is it like the points more from your side for now, where you basically analyze the activity based on the wallets, or there is some system that you already integrated? How do you do that? Like, are people capable of even checking themselves what are their points that they have?
Yeah, so it's actually like really simple. You literally, when you open the app, so you'll get the notification, and then you open the app and it says check in. It's like just like this blue button to see the feed. You'll check in and you'll get 10 points added to whatever your total is for the day, and your streak will continue if it was consecutive. And that's it. You know, they're not on chain. It's just like in my database. and that's it. So for right now, the reason I'm keeping it simple is because I don't even know if this is like a long-term thing. I started this V2 of the terminal July 1st, and actually I was just doing like a little bit of a retro yesterday. Like, okay, do I want to continue with this format of the experiment? How are my numbers looking? Like, do I think maybe this could actually just be in the newsletter? So still thinking about like what the direction is.
Who would you nominate to join us next?
I think Woj, who's building Supercast, would be fantastic. Also Proxy. I'm a huge fan of the way he's approaching being a creator. Also, I think Light, if you've seen him on Forecaster, is a fantastic creator, builder. He does everything as well, and an artist.
Are you up for a challenge?
Sure, yeah. I'll pick the blue one.
If TOC was a drink, which one would it be?
I was gonna say an AMF.
Ooh, what's that?
An Adios motherfucker. It's like a... it basically, that's the drink where if you drink one, have fun for the rest of the night. But the reason I picked that is because I think terminally on chain means like super, right? It like doesn't get more intense than terminally, and I think AMF fits exactly that vibe. And also the AMF colors sort of match the TOC vibe as well. So that's the first one that popped up in my head.
Wow, the ingredients are wild. Okay.
Yeah.
Really brutal.
Yeah. You would definitely get a headache after this one.
We kind of pick different drinks that people have submitted because we have a frame board where we kind of collect people's drinks, and we illustrate and mint them and actually turn it into a tutorial potentially. If we end up doing this one, that's gonna be wild. I think I have to share it with someone if I have to also drink it.
I am excited to see this. I want to see the tutorial and the drinking. And then you should record an episode after that.
Los Fomos drink tutorials are turning into if we just get drunk and record episodes. I'm not sure.
You can make them unhinged, controversial, everything.